Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog news headlines for the week, introduce you guys to some new prog singles, and give you an update on what's happening here on the channel on Nathan on Shuffle. Just a good chance for me to catch up with everybody, to do a more casual, laid-back show and talk about some of the items that I'm most excited about in the world of prog music. And I'm grateful for all the subscribers and people who followed me for a while and people who are joining me for this show on a regular basis. I really appreciate the support, and it's been incredible. This channel has been one of the most life-changing things that has happened to me recently, so I'm really grateful for it and for the following that I have here, and hope that you guys stay around and stick on board. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a show. Today is March 23rd, 2024 when I'm filming this. And I've been away a few weeks because I've been on Cruise to the Edge, which many of you I'm sure are familiar with, a big cruise prog festival that takes place over like 5 days, sailing out of Miami and going to Cozumel, Mexico, and just a whole variety of different prog bands on board and constant musical performances and everything else. I'm hoping to do a cruise review of sorts sometime soon. Basically, I've been having to catch up a bit with work because of the vacation time I took off. Plus, Jana hasn't been feeling very well, and I want to do the cruise review with her because she was, of course, with me the entire way, and she has a lot of thoughts and perspective from it as well. But just rest assured, we loved the experience. It was amazing. We're already formulating how we could do it again in the future. And I'm so grateful for all the people that came up and greeted us and said hi to us. There was quite a few people who recognized me from this channel. And so if you're watching and you're one of those people, thank you so much for coming up to us, and all of the love and support that I feel from this group is just immense, and it's been very special. So thank you all. And let's dive into the news. I'm basically catching up on three weeks of prog news, so there's a lot to dive into here. Nothing major, no big headlines that I noticed, so a lot of these items are maybe a bit smaller, but there's quite a bit of things that I wanted to get into, and I think that'll make for a pretty fun show today. So first of all, my number one prog headline is always the new releases for the week. And I'm going to catch up a bit on some of the new releases over the last few weeks. The first week I was gone, the 8th, saw some heavier releases in the prog spectrum. We got Sonata Arctica, Clear Cold Beyond is the name of their album, more of a power metal group, a very good release. Turbulence, a Lebanese prog metal group, released Binary Dream, which I think is supremely solid, a really great album. Another heavier band, Myrith, released their album Karma. And another one on my radar is Midas Fall, and their album Cold Waves Divide Us, more of a laid-back, more ambient, post-rocky kind of thing, with great vocals and just a really chill, cool vibe to it. The 15th saw Insanium by Whom Gods Destroy come out, the somewhat of a prog metal supergroup featuring Derek Sherinian and Bumblefoot, somewhat out of the ashes of the Sons of Apollo project that featured Mike Portnoy. Of course, he went off to Dream Theater, and now we've got the Remnants plus a few extra members, and it's a pretty solid progressive metal album for those who are fans of that style. A little bit less well-known, Almo released their debut project, Reconciliation, which I did a review of this week. Wonderful prog metal in the vein of Haken, Between the Buried and Me, Devin Townsend. All of those names should be familiar with most people into that scene of music, and it's just a fantastic debut, one of the best prog metal releases this year for sure. And this week I saw Drifting Sun, more of a neo-prog group, released their album Veil this week. Should be accessible on their Bandcamp. I don't think it's really up for streaming anywhere, but you can purchase it and listen to samples of it on Bandcamp. Elbow is another band I'm a little bit interested in. They are more of this psychedelic kind of poppy prog kind of outfit. They released their album Audio Vertigo, and then Artificial Language, another prog metal band with a lot of promise, released their EP Distant Glow. So a lot of interesting releases, a smattering of things to check out if you're interested. Just wanted to catch up on some of these releases that have caught my eye. Let me know in the comments any big releases from the last few weeks that I may have missed in my little rundown here of new albums. So that's item number one. Item number two, Andy Tilison is going it alone on his brand new Tangent album. The Tangent's one of my favorite progressive groups way back from the Music That Died Alone in the early 2000s, and they've had a pretty storied career ever since. And I believe this album was originally intended as more of a solo project from Andy Tilison, who's always been like the leader and the helm of this project anyways, but this is more of his opportunity to branch out and do a bit of a solo thing. But he's doing it under the Tangent banner, so should be a really strong project. The album's called To Follow Polaris. It's going to be released on Inside Out Music on May 10th. There's already a single out, which I will get to in the singles list called North Star. Really incredible look at what you could expect. Just really great classic symphonic prog, much as Andy Tilison is known to do. So this is their, I believe it's the 13th album by the Tangent, if my math's correct. And it's meant to be more of a one-off concept to do the one-man band kind of thing as an Andy Tilison kind of solo experience. For the next album, it should be the full band, and everyone should be back on board for their 14th album. But this is available for pre-order everywhere that you'd expect it to be. Limited edition collector's edition CD media book, gatefold 180 gram 2LP vinyl, and a digital album. And so check that out if you're a fan of Andy Tilison and the Tangent. It should be an interesting release to see how he's able to cover all of the instrumentation and how that should work as a new Tangent album. Item number 3, this got me really excited as a big fan of this group. The Decemberists announced a new album, including a 19-minute epic, which is titled Joan in the Garden, which I'll put in the singles list. I love... Only in Prog can you put a 19-minute song in your singles list, but the Decemberists are an interesting group because they're not fully blown prog. They're more of like an indie folk outfit that are fairly popular outside the scope of the progressive world, but they've done some things that are very progressive, like The Hazards of Love, which is a full-blown prog folk concept album, and there's plenty of proggy pieces on some of their older material, like The Tane. The Crane Wife is another album that features a big epic on it as well. So they've dabbled their toes in prog for sure, but they've kind of steered away from it in the past few albums, so it's cool to see them returning to somewhat of a prog sound here with a 19-minute epic, which goes through a lot of different soundscapes. There's some ambient sections, some more heavier, crunchier sections, some proggier keyboards, especially towards the end. Some droning kind of cool sounds, some Pink Floyd influences. It's a really cool trip that I think many of you would like. But their new album is coming out, I believe, in June. And it's going to be called As It Ever Was, So It Will Be Again. June 19th, in fact. And it's their first intentional double album, so it's a lot of material to come from the band, but they seem super excited about it. And they're also touring North America in spring and summer. And so there's a lot of activity in the Decemberist camp if you're a fan of their music. If you like the more indie folk inspirations that they bring to the sound, I think they're a band well worth checking out. And then for the last few items here, there's quite a bit of news of touring from some legendary prog groups. Kansas are extending their 50th anniversary tour. Another Fork in the Road is the name of their tour. So they've added a bunch of dates and are continuing forward with that tour. So it's really exciting. I love Kansas. They're one of the legendary prog bands, one of the few that came out of the classic period from America that was well known and well established. John Anderson and the band Geeks announced the first 2 legs of their 2024 North American Yes Epics, Classics, and More tour. So if you're into John Anderson and his project that he's doing, a bunch of Yes music with a group called the Band Geeks, I've heard really good things about it. They do a lot of great classic Yes music. They've got a great amount of dates coming up in June and through August, all throughout North America. So that should be a tour to watch out for. Some of the dates are with special guests, the return of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So that should be really cool to see those guys touring with the John Anderson group here. Also, Dixie Dregs announced some additional U.S. tour dates. They announced their little East Coast tour this spring, and they're extending into some more dates throughout that period of time. Of course, opening the show will be the Steve Morse Band, which features Steve Morse, Dave LaRue, and Van Romain. Of course, Steve Morse and Dave LaRue are also part of Dixie Dregs, so a big Steve Morse fest, as you could expect from this group. Of course, Steve Morse Band was one of the groups featured on Cruise to the Edge, and they sounded fantastic, so I'm sure this will be a great tour. Dixie Dregs are a fantastic instrumental prog outfit that run the gamut between, more traditional prog, but also some like bluegrass flavors, some little bits of country, some little bits of like jazz fusion and things like that to make for a very eclectic progressive stew of great instrumental firework playing. Really worth checking out. And then finally, Oliver Wakeman shared a trailer for his new album coming out, Anam Cara. So Oliver Wakeman, of course, is the son of Rick Wakeman from Yes, and has been with Yes in the past as well, so he's done a lot in the progressive sphere, and he's coming out with a new album, Anam Cara, his 11th solo album and his first for 20 years, through Spirit of Unicorn Music on May 17th. And it's including a lot of special guests, including Haley Griffiths, Troy Donackley, Oliver Day, and Scott Higham. So a lot of different names, a little bit of a Celtic flavor to this, a Celtic concept. Should be a really cool release. It's being mixed by Carl Groom and recorded by John Mitchell, and the album artwork is by world-renowned artist Ann Sudworth. So it should be a cool release from a figure in the prog world, so I wanted to bring attention to that. And now a long list of prog singles. I put together 10 tracks that I think are well worth your attention. The first is the Tangent track, The North Sky. Check the description for links to the YouTube videos for all of these. Well worth your time to listen to these tracks and get a feel for this kind of music. So The North Sky by The Tangent is the first on the list. We've got the Decemberists, Joan in the Garden, that 19-minute epic that I mentioned. The Baroque Project has a new track called The Lost Ship Tavern, a bit of like a piratey prog anthem, a little bit of a Kansas influence through the second half of it. Really fun, upbeat prog number. Their new studio album is called Time Voyager and will be out on June 3rd. So an album I'm hotly anticipating, a really cool group that have been on hiatus for a little bit of time, and it's cool to see them return with a cool album. Dim Gray has their track Murals. This is a group that I really love, has more of like a atmospheric, laid-back kind of feel to them at times. A little bit of that kind of same jaunty, kind of piratey kind of feel to this track as well. Of course, one of the most important connections here is their keyboardist, of course, is playing with Big Big Train as well, Oscar Holdorf, who plays keyboards and does the vocals for Dim Gray. So should be cool to see them. They're doing a lot of things apparently as well in the background, and should be releasing an album as well. So it should be cool to see the run up to that stuff in their career. But this new track is really good and well worth checking out. I also have 6x6 and their new track Obelix. Not quite sure how to pronounce it. But this is the progressive power trio that is comprised of Ian Crichton from Saga, Nigel Glockler from Saxon, and Robert Barry. Pretty well-known names in the progressive sphere. Their new album, Beyond Shadowland, is coming out April 26th, so about a month away. This is a wonderful track. I really love it. I think this is shows a lot of great promise for their new album and what you could expect. So something definitely worth checking out. The Dave Foster Band has a new track called Sleep Spindles. Dave Foster plays with Big Big Train also. And featured on this album will be Carly Bryant, who was a member of Big Big Train, as well as other collaborators, including bassist Neil Fairclough, Leon Parr, pianist Anthony Hindley, and string arranger Stephen Boyce Buckley. So, and it looks like there's some guitar playing from Steve Rothery of Marillion as well, and some playing from bassist Mark King of Level 42. So it's a really cool little track that I want to bring your attention towards. Their album is going to be called Maybe They'll Come Back For Us, which is coming out on the 28th of June. So should be a cool album to look forward to. I wanted to point attention towards Advent Horizon. They have a performance video of their track Water from their album A Cell to Call Home from last year, which is one of my favorites of the year. So I always want to point attention. They did some live in studio type performances, and this is one of them, and it's really fantastically done. Just well worth checking out if you're interested or want to check out this band. That's a good entry point. A great a great rendition of the opening track from their latest album. Then we've got Lucasen and Soderbergh's Plan 9. The track is called Ice on Fire, a very 80s inflected sound. This is a project that's coming out pretty soon, I believe. May 17th, it looks like, is the date. More bluesy stuff on here. The first track that came from this album was very bluesy sounding, called Before the Morning Comes, but this one just goes full-blown 80s style. A cool collaboration between Ari and Lucasen and Soderbergh, so it should be a cool album to look forward to, and it's a cool track. A little off the beaten path of Prog, but it's one of my favorites, so I wanted to put it in here, is Dirty Loops and their new track, Runaway. They maybe have more of a pop inflection than a lot of stuff that I put out here, but fantastic musicians, bring a little bit of like a jazz edge to their sound as well, and I think they're just fantastic players, a trio that shows a lot of promise, and so I wanted to put their track in the list here. And then Whom Gods Destroy, I mentioned that they released their album in the last few weeks. The Decision is the single that they released, which I think is one of the stronger tracks from the album, and so I wanted to put it in the list as well to round it out to 10 songs to check out, which run the gamut between a lot of different flavors, and I would suggest you check it out. So that's what we've got on the docket today for New Music Weekly. On the channel this week, of course, it's been a slow start to get back into the channel, but we're going to get full force back into things in short order here. I had a review for Almo's album that I mentioned, Reconciliation, what I consider one of the best prog metal releases so far this year. A great debut record from a new shining young talent in the scene. So definitely check that review out and that album out, more importantly. This week I'm going to do a review of an album that's really blown me away, a new band that I hadn't heard of before, called Professor Caffeine and Insecurities. So I'm excited to let you guys know about it and to talk a bit about their latest record. And beyond that, it's going to probably be a little bit of a slow start getting back into Prog Song Sunday. I mentioned that Jan is not feeling well, so I'm trying to wait till she recovers to get back into Prog Song Sunday. And like I said, I want to do a cruise review type video from our Cruise to the Edge experience. Plus, we have a lot of video that we filmed while on the cruise that I'd like to put out in some form, but we haven't quite figured out the best way to do it yet. And there's a whole smattering of new reviews that I want to get into that have stacked up since I took a couple weeks off. So there's a lot going on, and I'm still in the midst of Yes Month, as you can see with the albums behind me. I hope to focus on some more Yes stuff as well. I actually might extend Yes Month into April, since it was given a little bit of short shrift with the Cruise to the Edge stuff going on. So we'll see how that goes. And so it's really just me planning out what I want to do with the future episodes and how I'm going to approach getting back into the swing of things. We also have an upcoming move that me and my wife are working towards, so that's going to probably take some of my time away as well. So it's going to be a little bit in flux, but I promise you I'll do my best to keep the main ship afloat here. I'll make sure there's some videos to enjoy. I want to make sure to keep up my album recommending that I'm doing, because that's a really important part of the show to me, and I want to keep up these New Music Weeklies, and I'm sure me and Jana will be back soon, hopefully probably not tomorrow, but next Sunday. I'm hoping that we're back on board with Prog Song Sunday and can keep the train rolling throughout the rest of the year. So that's what's on order for Prog, for Nathan on Shuffle and Prog music and everything else. Hopefully you enjoy this episode. I feel a little out of practice and a little scattered today, but I hope you guys are still appreciating the show and kind of the more loose nature to it. So thank you guys so much for your support. It means a whole bunch to me, and spread the word out there if you can about Nathan on Shuffle, and that would be great. The more I can grow the channel, the more that I can do, and the more information I can provide and get more feedback from the community. So it really helps me. So thank you guys so much, and I'll hopefully catch you guys in future episodes. Bye everybody.